Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So let's just get this party started. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. None of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. But let's jump into it. Tesla ending the day actually up, believe it or not, as surprising as that is, up 1.83%, which puts us at $194.44. Compared to the NASDAQ, we are arguably underperforming actually. The NASDAQ was up 1.4%. Tesla should have been up, in my opinion, at least 2%, like minimum 2%. So slight underperformance on Tesla end as usual at this point, it feels like. However, let's go over it. There's still not that much to update you guys that I haven't talked about yesterday and the day before that, mainly because we're still just trading inside this channel, right? We had the PPI numbers come out. They were actually great, better than expected. Fantastic news. We pumped in the morning and then we dumped. But we're still trading in this essential, ascending channel, if you will, or potential bear flag, right? So there's a few ways to look at this. So honestly, there's like three ways to look at this. This is why this is a little confusing, but I think this is the best way to look at it. So the first way, I guess, is this way right here, right? We can look at it as an ascending channel, which also happens to be essentially a bear flag, right? That's number one. Number two, the way you can look at it is you can look at it potentially, instead of looking at it like a bear flag, you can look at it as something like this. Where if we make it, actually, we'll just use this line, but then just take this line right here that I'm moving around right now, this one right here, right? Take that one and pretend that's the line and then remove this red one for now. And you can pretend that we're essentially creating an ascending, I forgot what this is called exactly, like an ascending wedge, I believe it's called, or something. No, it's not a wedge. I forgot what this is called exactly, ascending triangle maybe, where pretty much what you can determine is the fact that before we broke out today, we were kind of making this ascending wedge while, we kept getting rejected at the same level, but we kept making higher lows, which still can go either way. By the way, is that this isn't necessarily bearish or bullish, but you can see in the morning we did play out to the top side, which is great. We broke out, went above the 197 level, but I talked about how, I want to see a break above this gap fill at this kind of 197, 196 level, but then I also really want to see a break above 200 to 204, right? We pretty much got right into the 200 range and got slapped back down right into that channel once again. And now we're back under this kind of level that we still apparently can't break again, because we got essentially a fake breakout, which you can kind of see more clearly on the 4 hour with this massive kind of bearish looking candle, in all honesty, actually. So that's not good, right? So there's not really much to update other than the fact that I am personally just waiting for this to play out. This little channel that we're in, I'm waiting for it to play out to the downside or to the upside. This, in my opinion, has slightly more bias towards the downside. This is technically more of a bearish than a bullish outcome, usually at the end. Doesn't mean it has to be, but usually it is, just more often than not, right? We'll see what it actually ends up being. We are, of course, channeling. We pretty much ping-ponged right in between it, right? We came up all the way to the top, the 200 level, slapped back down, which ended up being the top of the channel, came all the way back down to this kind of 191, 192 level, which ended up being the bottom of this channel, got slapped back up. And now we're trading dangerously close to it. So we pretty much want to make sure we gap up tomorrow. It's quite important that we gap up tomorrow, or at least start the days pretty much flat without any major red in the pre-market. That's important, but we'll see what that actually ends up being. Now, personally, what I have done, if you're curious, I did de-risk today on this pump in the morning. What I did was I personally sold out entirely of my second account, the smaller account, completely sold it out. Took a very small loss, maybe like a 0.3% loss or something like that, mainly because I wanted to de-risk because I don't know, I wasn't really trusting the pump, and thankfully I was right, because I did sell at 196 or 7 or something like that is where I sold. So we are a bit lower, but I'm okay with that, mainly because I still have my main account, right? I still have all the shares of my main account, but I did sell calls against about a third of the shares that I do own on my main account, roughly. And the main reason I did that is also similar because I also don't really fully trust this pump. So I sold 205 calls for this Friday on about a third of the shares. And if we continue to pump, I'll sell more calls. If we don't, then at least I make something, right? Whether we go down or we consolidate. However, my plan is if we do break down from this channel and we start breaking out to the downside, not only will I buy back those calls at probably a 30% profit, but I will also go ahead and resell calls longer date, higher strike for December 16th is probably what I'll do, which will be just my ultimate hedge, if you will, against this market. That'd be extra safe. Anyways, that's kind of what I'm personally doing. That's just me. Again, make your own decisions, make sure you're following your own plan, your own risk tolerance, whatever, all that stuff. But ultimately, guys, there's really not that much to talk about that I haven't talked about already, right? We're just essentially waiting for this channel to play out. We did slightly cross above the median line, which is great, but that can collapse pretty quickly with just this barely of, slight crossover. So we'll see what that actually ends up being. I'm still hopeful. In all honesty, believe it or not, I'm actually still hopeful that we can potentially get a nice little rally out of this channel to the north side, right? I'm still hopeful. Will it actually end up being that? It's hard to say. I mean, overall, it's still looking not the most, bullish looking chart in the entire world, I'll be completely honest, right? The weeklies, we're holding this area. That's important. That's, very, very important. It's kind of 180s ish level, if you will, right? We are holding this general level, which is great. I want to make sure we continue holding that. It's very important that we do. If we don't, we're going to collapse pretty aggressively, which won't be a lot of fun. However, I am still hopeful. I am actually still hopeful, despite me kind of, de-risking. I am still hopeful overall that, we can still potentially get a decent pump before potential more downside overall. But the one thing that's making me a little suspicious is the fact that the SPY, you can see, which of course affects Tesla, is also in this kind of upward channel, just a lot, it's a lot better of a looking upward channel compared to Tesla. However, with that being said and done, it is approaching major resistance, right? 400 got rejected, and even if we break above 400, you can see the 200 moving averages right above us at 406. And as if that's not enough, we also have the ultimate trend line that we are still in, being this massive red line up here, which is essentially around 409, 410, something like that, right? That's also pretty, suspicious, let's just say. So there's a lot of things that are still pointing to, suspicious behavior, let's just say that, or like a lot of resistance, if you will, I guess actually is a better way to put it. That makes me kind of wonder, well, if the SPY is approaching this, that's major resistance, 400, the 200 moving average, the ultimate trend line resistance at 410, just that very cloudy area. What does that mean for Tesla, right? What does that mean for Tesla if SPY starts getting rejected at this general level? Probably not good, right? But you never know with Tesla, though. That's the thing. You really don't. Sometimes it just does its own thing. It could happen again. You never really know. That's what makes it a bit harder to predict sometimes. But that's just something to consider. However, the QQ did break out of this yellow trend line that you can see. We have, bounced off of before to the south side. We have done it before, though, when we got slapped back down under. But this time we did it again. You can see we got rejected 2 days in a row. But today we gapped up, came back down, retested it successfully, and actually closed above it, which is great. However, even with that being said, it also has its ultimate trend line just not too far above it, pretty much sitting just shy over $300, right? So similar position to the SPY. So we'll see where that takes us, because the indices are approaching major resistances, while Tesla pretty much did nothing during that pump, which is extremely unfortunate, but, sometimes it just be like that, right? So Tesla's just showing a lot of weakness, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. A lot more weakness than I want to see, right? You never know. Tesla can sometimes fake it out and then continue pumping. You really don't know for sure. However, that is why personally I did de-risk. But the main levels you want to be paying attention to, guys, essentially the easiest way to look at it is a break out of this channel, whether it's to the south side, which really isn't that far from here. Essentially, honestly, even under 192 is already looking pretty bad, or a break pretty much above 200 and holding above 200. Those are the key levels I'll be looking for. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.